Welcome to this month's Lunch and Learn. Hi, Amina, how are you?
Good morning, Julie.
This is going to be a good episode, a good Lunch and Learn. 52 ways to market your practice.
This will certainly get the mind ticking.
And so it is going to be a fast and furious, you know what they say, it's going to be like one of those fire hoses of information coming right at you. But what Amina and I wanted to do was to share the bunch of different ways you can market your practice and get patients in your surgery. And so it will be fast and furious. We have this as our focus for this month's mastermind and mentoring session. So if there are any of these ideas you wanted to speak about more carefully, that's the time to do it. The first Tuesday evening of every month is our group mastermind and mentoring session. So let's get stuck straight into it, hey, Amina?
Yeah, and if you haven't got a pen and paper, I think it's a good idea. While all these ideas have been thrown at you, you can write down all the ideas that come to you during the session.
Great idea. Number one way of marketing your practice is oral health promotion at kinders and preschools. Have you done that in the past, Amina?
Absolutely. And even getting the people going out to do the promotion dressed in fairy costumes and all sorts of things can make it an exciting, entertaining visit for the children.
That's right too. And actually you reminded me, Delari was our person that used to do it when I had my practice, and she would dress up and she was just like a little kinder school teacher. She was so engaging. And if you include some show bags for each of the kids as well, with your business card, with a voucher for a free child examination, you can really make sure that it is a practice builder within your dental practice. Idea number 2. Coffee campaign. Now, the coffee campaign is something that a dental prosthetist, Arnie, told me about, and I thought that it was a fantastic idea. If you are close to a train station, for example, where a whole bunch of business commuters head off to work every morning, then the very local cafe to that train station, go in there, buy 50 cups of coffees, give the cafe owner 50 cards to hand off to the first 50 people that come in to get a cup of coffee. And that card says, "This coffee's on us. If you ever need to have a dental appointment time, click on this QR code, organise a time right now." That is wonderful because people go to pay for their coffee. They get told, no, you don't have to pay for it. It's on the dental surgery. And they're like, wow, that's wonderful. What a good feeling that is. And then they've got the train trip to actually read that card properly. Isn't it a great idea?
I love that one. It's impressive.
Yeah, I always thought it was a great idea. Number 3, new resident campaign. So a new resident campaign is where you go onto realestate.com.au and start to track how many places in your suburb, in your catchment area, are being sold or rented out. And usually, a settlement could take, 90 days, Amina?
Yeah.
So you've got the address there.
Hmm.
Dear new resident, 4 months down the track, dear new resident, we are your next dental practice. We are so thrilled you come into the area. Did you know the best restaurant is this? The best pizza place is here. The best place for coffee is here. And the best place to get your dental treatment done is right here. And so that's a nice way of welcoming somebody to the area and building your practice up.
Saves them doing the search.
That's it. In-house education evenings. This is something that we talk a lot about in our dental practice management program, isn't it, Amina?
Absolutely. Inviting people into your clinic to hear about certain topics of concern or knowing more about oral health conditions, being educated to look after their children's teeth, for example, is always a common one, is a great way to invite people in, let them learn a little bit, let them meet yourself and your team. The kids can have a look around if they happen to be with them and get the commitment from them that at that point that this is a good place to come.
Absolutely. And I reckon this is one that we can speak about at the mastermind and mentoring session, just the steps that you can take to actually get these evenings underway. This idea came from a podcast episode that we listened to about a place over in America that in a very low socioeconomic area really built up their implant dental practice, wildly successful through these in-house education evenings. They can be powerful. Online information sessions and webinars. So same sort of thing, but just flip it to online instead. Come and meet the tooth fairy. Have you ever had tooth fairy visits at your practices?
I haven't had them actually at the practice, but I like the idea.
Yeah, and one of the practices that I've worked with, their opening day, when they opened up the practice for the first time, they had a Saturday where they just had an open day, and they had the tooth fairy on site. And it was actually a hygienist that was dressed up like a tooth fairy, and wildly popular, just fantastic. But they also have inside their waiting room a little, this is where the tooth fairy lives, it's a little door, and you can put a little note for the tooth fairy to read.
Oh,
That
cute.
is so popular. It's amazing.
It is. And if the kids are screaming out to go to the dentist because it's such a cool place,
Yeah.
life's easy.
These are great images to pop up on your social media pages as well. Just say this particular Saturday, we've got the tooth fairy visiting, just like Santa would visit, has little gifts to hand out to the kids, etc. Fantastic stuff. Monthly community service days. This is one that I heard about. There is a dentist in Sandringham that's done a lot of charitable work. And that and another source I heard about where one day every month they just open up their surgery for people who cannot afford dental treatment. And, you know, every community has people in such a situation, especially nowadays. There seems to be a lot of people struggling with the increased cost of everything nowadays. But just open your practice up one day a month, do a bit of charity work, give back to the community, provide services and pain relief, goodness be pain relief, to people who are really in need. Your team will likely be right behind it, and you can post all of this around on your website and on your community page as well, so people really start to see the kind of values that you have as a dental practice.
That's something I have been part of before. So I
Yeah?
worked in a practice in Richmond, and we did maybe half a dozen of these over the period of time that I was there, and everybody would donate their time. The practice was donating the resources and the place to do it. And yeah, would help those people in need. It was quite rewarding because they're people that are, usually very, very grateful and in a lot of pain or in a bad situation. So
Nice. Not that nice that they're in pain, but that's right, nice that they can be looked after. And I agree that I think a lot of people are very happy to give of their time for these sort of things.
yeah.
Payment plans. If you haven't got effective payment plans in place, that is going to stop people from coming into your practice. And the affordability is, much more important nowadays. And so if you do have great payment plans where people can pay, not just Afterpay, not just Zip Pay, that you're offering a payment plan where they can actually enter into a payment plan installment process with an external company such as Hum, where they've got a year, 2 years, 3 years to pay something off. Advertise that. They may have had a treatment plan from another practice that they simply can't afford, and they're not offered any payment plans to be able to afford it. They look at yours, that'll bring them straight on in. Incomplete treatment. This is another way of marketing your own practice to patients that have already been to you and they actually do need treatment. And so remarket yourself to the people that need treatment actually done, highlighting all of the benefits of getting that treatment done.
Always much easier trying to sell to somebody who has bought from you before, basically. They already like you and trust you, and it won't be that hard to get them back in the door if they had a good experience.
That's for sure. Reactivation of inactive patients. And so if they haven't been for years and years and years, they are likely going somewhere else now. And if they are going somewhere else, if they're still in the same area, then what do they need to hear to be able to come back into your fold again? And the reactivation of inactive patients, it's very good to have a think about over the last few years, what has changed in our practice. Maybe a dentist that was very rough has been replaced by somebody who's quite gentle. Maybe, quite a unfriendly receptionist has been swapped over for somebody nicer. Maybe the place has had a refurb and it's looking much more attractive as well. Maybe you've got additional services such as clear aligners, etc., EMS for cleanings that you haven't necessarily trumpeted from the rooftops. This is what we're doing now. These are the changes that have gone on. And so going to your inactive patient base and let them know of all of these changes, bring them back into the surgery again. Search engine optimization. You know more about that than me, Meanie.
Absolutely. Making sure that someone who has the knowledge and skills to look after search engine optimization of your website is very, very important. It makes sure that your practice can be found easily that people who search for different search words such as EMS airflow, that you'll be found, and the patients that are looking for that particular thing will be able to come to you, implants, that sort of thing. And my goodness me, it's a subject this big and most of us don't know enough about, so you really need to engage a professional for that one.
Beautiful. Ask for referrals. Your existing patients already have good things to say about you, so get them to go out there and say things about you. And one of the easiest ways you can ask for referrals is that every time a patient leaves the practice, they've had their treatment plan done, they've booked in for their 6 monthly appointment time, but you hand them a card that if you refer somebody, you get $20 off your next treatment. Nice and easy. And every patient gets these handed out to them.
Beautiful.
Google reviews.
Google reviews. So there's so many ways to go about Google reviews, and particularly when people ring up and say to the receptionist, oh, I just had the most awesome experience yesterday, blah, blah, blah. If you ask them, if you wouldn't mind doing a Google review, that would be absolutely awesome. I know when I've been really impressed with a service, sometimes I don't quite think of it myself to do it, and that will be helpful to the business. But if they ask me, I certainly always make sure I do it, because I feel obligated to then. I've committed. So asking the patients is, there's nothing wrong with it.
And studies are proving that Google reviews are taken more seriously now than a one-on-one referral. And so if me, being a friend of Amina, or if I said to Amina, you got to go off and go to this restaurant, it's awesome, you'll take that with a certain credibility. But if you read all the Google reviews, you put more faith in the Google reviews. And so it is an area that we need to try to encourage as many reviews as possible. Mystery shopper. I love a mystery shopper process. And the reason why a mystery shopper is a fantastic thing is it helps the practice identify what are we doing great that we can make a song and dance about in all of our marketing, and what are we doing that's not so great that we can improve upon, that we can then make a song and dance about how great we are. Newsletter campaign. Newsletters are often emailed out to people, but the email open rate's very, very low, like 13 to 23% or something like that. So unless a patient's actually expecting an email from you, there's every chance that they won't even see it. And especially if it's a newsletter, you're like, yeah, I've got better things to do than sit here and read through a newsletter. But if you do a newsletter campaign, why not make it a physical sheet? Maybe a double fold A4 size. The minute it's tangible, it leaves a stronger impression on our brain. And you could do a newsletter campaign, not just to your client base, but use somebody like, it's called B Media. I used to use years ago. Hopefully they're still around, B Media. And they can do the printing of the newsletter and the distribution of it as well. And it's not that expensive. It's not a stamp for thing. They've got people on the ground, letterbox delivering your newsletter to your catchment area. And if you do newsletters 4 times a year, apparently that is the ideal sweet spot of getting new patients coming into your practice from that.
I think, times have changed in terms of, there was a time when we'd get so flooded with tangible marketing material that there'd just be a big flood of them and they'd go in the bin. Now you don't see much of that, but the inbox is full of emails that you want to get rid of. So I think we've done a full circle, and I think they have a lot more weight now than maybe what they did 10 years ago.
That's it. Do a comprehensive examination. Like if you're doing very quick 10-minute examinations and you want to start filling your books with more patients, new patients, treatment, start doing comprehensive examinations. And you have, for example, you can train people into a very effective examination technique, can't you, Minnie?
Yeah, that's right. And I think you, for one, aren't giving, I feel, the full service to the patient if you're not spending the time with them, educating them about all the conditions in their mouth. Like, we each time you come in, we perform an oral cancer check. We're just looking at your TMJ here, clenching, grinding, breathing, all those things, how that works. Implants, how do you feel about the look of your teeth, your appearance, all that sort of thing. You're not giving them options to think about, to speak about, to ask questions about. And we need to spend enough time for them with them for them to be asking us, what can you do to fix this? What can you do to help me with this? And they're asking you for the services rather than the other way around. So I think at least a 40-minute exam is required to really build rapport with the patient, to educate them, to show them all the things, use the intraoral camera, show them a treatment plan, all the options in the world, and then they can choose what works for them.
That's it. And then they go out and they say, you got to go to my dentist, because that's where you go and you're properly educated. You go out understanding exactly what's going on. You're not rushed through the process. So comprehensive examinations are absolutely a practice builder from your existing patients and what they're saying to everybody else around them as well.
Yeah.
Health fund. So use your rebates. This is a good marketing idea, isn't it, Amina? Where either by SMS or email or social media posts on your page, maybe pop up on your website. Don't forget to use your rebates. You don't get to carry these amounts over. Do it towards the end of every financial year and towards the end of every calendar year as well. Many people don't realise how much money they've got to use.
And you can do a quick search on Google and it'll tell you which health funds are calendar and which are financial year based. And then you can pull up reports in your software of the patients from each category and do them at certain times.
Yeah, that's it. And if any of you are members of HCF, where patients actually get fully rebated checkups and cleans every year, advertise the hell out of that in your local Facebook community pages, because there are people out there that have these health funds. They don't have a regular dentist and they're not using them, or they've got a regular dentist, but maybe they're not HCF. And that's a wonderful way of getting people to convert over to you as well.
We also often forget what our health fund does pay for, what it offers, and then we don't use these things. So the reminder's helpful.
That's it, because the health funds don't remind them. Team training. This is terrific. If you have got a practice where you've got team members who are delivering a very positive, friendly experience and gentle experience to patients, that gets spoken about. How many times, Amanda, do you and I see within the both local community Facebook pages, where's a good dentist? And people will come back. You've got to see these people. They're the nicest, the friendliest, the gentlest, the fairest, all the things. So team training, if your people within your organisation are getting better and better all the time, your practice will be delivering better and better all the time.
It's just, even if you go and see your doctor and you like the doctor and you want to go and see him, but it's really off-putting if the rest of the team's not like that. You have a rude receptionist or something like that.
Yeah, I had an experience last night very quickly that we went to dinner last night. I chose the restaurant because this is the same restaurant I use, or hotel that I use for business meetings through the week. Business meetings through the week, this place isn't all that crowded and the staff are beautiful. They're fantastic and the service is real quick. Go there on a Sunday night, different group of staff. Not very friendly group of staff, and it was a completely different experience. And so team training helps your business deliver a consistently high level of service, not just on particular times if you're lucky. Child dental benefits promotion. Child dental benefits scheme promotion. This is another area where people just aren't aware they've even got access to this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. People don't know about it, or they forget again. If they're reminded, they're more than likely to take advantage of the situation because it's quite helpful.
And how often are families attracted to your dental practice because they've used the kids as guinea pigs?
That's right.
Bring in those guinea pigs so then you get the parents as well.
I think during these economic times, all these little reminders for these things will be appreciated, I imagine.
Absolutely. Lunch and learns with local GPs. And so when we're talking about how to get people coming into our dental practice, effective marketing to get people coming into our dental practices, there are a whole bunch of health conditions where it is advised that they make sure that their mouth is kept in good order, such as diabetes, such as stroke, such as cardiac issues. Who are the people that are seeing these patients? Your local GPs. Are you getting a flood of referrals from your local GPs? I'd say the answer is absolutely not. I've never seen it before myself in my experience. And so make sure you go on site with those GPs, do a lunch and learn. This is the oral systemic link, health link. And if the minute you have diagnosed any of your clients with this, any of your patients with any of these conditions, you are best serving them if you get them to come along and make sure that their oral conditions are being well maintained as well. Mouth guards. We can do this once a year, can't we, Meanie?
Absolutely.
So come on in, get your mouth guards done now for your soccer, your softball, your football, whatever, the basketball, whatever it is. So just have that part of your regular yearly campaign that you've got a mouth guard drive, if you like. Use your cancellation and super cancellation list for getting more people back into your appointment book as well. And when we're talking about marketing ideas, we're talking about marketing our practice to our existing patients as well as our other patients as well. And if you are in desperate need of a sooner appointment time and you get a phone call saying we've got one for you, that's great stuff. But if you've also getting phone calls with a super cancellation list, so anybody that's booked in for beyond 2 weeks gets put on this super cancellation list. And if you ring those people and say, I noticed that you've got, your fillings booked in a week's time, you know what, we can see you a bit sooner. We've just had a gap open up. It's all yours if you want it. That is marketing your own practice to your existing patient base. Lengthen the examination appointment time. So we spoke earlier about providing comprehensive examinations. But if you feel like you could be achieving a greater patient conversion into their treatment plans, just lengthening that appointment time is going to be crucial. Particularly take note of your new patient examination appointment time. How long would you suggest for a new patient adult examination appointment time, Amina?
Ideally an hour. I think particularly if you're doing clinical photography and all these sorts of things, radiographs, showing them on the screen, getting out an oral camera, spending some time with the patient, 60 minutes ideally. I do know some practices that are working with 40 minutes. Possibly it does differ depending on the efficiency of the clinician, how much they like to chit-chat and all those sorts of things. But I think somewhere between 40 and 60 minutes, what you find works for you, I guess, at the end of the day.
And we want new patients to leave these examination appointment times feeling, gosh, I've never been treated that way before. Gosh, I've never understood things that well before.
Yeah, and then there's a fine line too without overwhelming them. So
yeah,
you need to find that balance.
And definitely warn your patients that's how long it's going to take as well. I know I've been along to quite comprehensive eye exams, for example, and I'm still there an hour and a half later going, oh, crikey, this is all a bit much.
Parking and all those sorts of things we can inconvenience.
Yeah, that's it too. Freshen your facade. This is a nice, quick way of marketing your practice. The minute people see something different, their attention is drawn to it when they're driving by, walking by, what have you. And so definitely freshen your facade up. Always make sure your facade is in good nick as well. I've got a wonderful example of a practice on the Mornington Peninsula down here in Victoria where they had a brand new practice. It was beautiful. And within the first few months, somebody graffitied the front sign. And that graffiti's been there now years later. The minute graffiti hits your walls, you get rid of it. The minute your garden looks drab, freshen it up. Make sure your facade is of good appearance, and that communicates a message to the people around you who are not yet patients of your practice.
It's funny because I pulled up at a practice the other day and there was 2 completely dead. They must have been dead for months, dead plants out the front.
Yeah, and you can see that. You can usually notice that. But we go a little bit blind as team members, and so this is where the mystery shopper can be fantastic. By the way, did you know you had 2 dead plants at the front? New caller conversion. So you're doing all these marketing efforts. These patients are loving your facade. They're loving your messaging. They got a word from their GP. They should come on in. And they ring up and the receptionist hasn't been delivered all of the skills and resources to be able to convert that patient into the actual appointment book too. So make sure your new caller conversion rate is high by providing your receptionists with the training, with the resources, and all those resources are out there. There's Jane Bandy, there's you and me, there's so many resources out there that can really help with this. Patient engagement. And so quite often we can get used to patients as kind of filing in, filing out. They become a bit of a number. But remember that We want to engage them within our walls when they come in, that they know that they've stepped into a slightly different space. And so the engagement happens in so many different ways: what they're hearing, the kind of music that they're hearing, the way they are being communicated with, the comfort in the waiting room, the comfort in the dental surgery itself, the ease of that journey. And so just make sure that you're always engaging that patient in their oral health in your practice. You want them linked. I'm never going to go anywhere else because this place is awesome. Local community Facebook groups. This is a good one, me. I mean, there's a lot of recommendations in the local community Facebook groups.
People get very active in this, and they really rely on their neighbours, if you like, to point them in the right direction. So getting involved in those and putting in a good positive contribution is really, really important.
And make sure your staff and yourselves are in there looking for opportunities to provide dental advice. Sometimes they say, my kid just knocked their front tooth during sport. What do I do? Jump in there. Be the source of information in there and advice. Inspiration from your colleagues. Look around. What are your colleagues doing? And, Amin and I are trying to get out of that term of competition. What are your competition doing? So what are your colleagues out there doing? Take inspiration from their brilliant ideas and start doing it yourself. Social media promotions. And we mentioned this just this morning with our students of the Dental Practice Management Program. If you've delegated the social media task to a staff member, make sure you're also delegating time to them so they can do their own research on how to do this really well. They're expanding their knowledge. Make sure your promotions are powerful. An email campaign. You've got all these email addresses. Do the newsletter. Suggest that there's a new dentist coming in, do a song and dance about that. We've freshened up our facade. Hopefully you saw that and noticed that. Maybe you're going to do a survey. Do you have any of these health conditions? Did you realise how important it is to come on in? So do an email campaign. If you want to increase your email open rate, send out the campaign and then SMS all your patients. We've just sent a really important notification through your email. Go and have a look. Develop a YouTube channel. How many people are looking at things on video now? So many.
All the time. Massive.
Yeah. You can do so much stuff to promote your own practice on a YouTube channel. You can, describe different services. This is what a cleaning's all about. This is how we make a mouth guard. This is why we suggest wisdom tooth removals. You can do a tour of the practice. You can do profiles of each of your team members as well. Wonderful stuff that you can do there. Brainstorm ideas with your team. Bring everybody in together. Next staff meeting, have half an hour of that staff meeting put aside just to brainstorm different ideas on how we can market this practice. People have got brilliant ideas out there.
They do. Yeah.
Purchase any available patient lists, and so always be inquiring about that too. Sometimes practices do sell, but they don't sell the premises, but they've got the patient list up for sale. And so I've certainly seen that happen in the past, and it is interesting how many patients do just kind of go as directed to the next person. Do something press-worthy. We're talking before about the community day every month that you can do. Maybe you're going to be the sponsor of the local football team. Maybe you're going to do some charitable work around. I know there's, people go around collecting bicycles that they send off over to South Africa and other places as well. Or even one of your team members may have achieved a particular highlight, an achievement that's press-worthy, and then get the local paper to come out and talk about you, take photos and promote you in their local newspaper.
Excellent idea.
Channel D, Mimi.
Channel D, something I haven't visited for a little while.
Yeah, so Channel D is Michael Cernick. He's part of that organisation, and this is where your waiting room television has got customised cartoons about your practice, about the services that you offer. There's no sound there, so you can still have your lovely calming music playing in the background. But when people are sitting in the waiting room, they're being educated about what they can ask for when they come into the surgery. And that's been very popular for many practices.
So many times you sit in a waiting room and you wouldn't have a clue about the things that are available in terms of service. Really, really important.
Revamp and relaunch your website. Websites can get pretty stale pretty quickly, can't they, Minnie? Because when do you ever get your website to a point where you're 100% happy with it? Never.
And it's one of those back burner jobs. I'm guilty of it myself, that we just don't get round to it. But it should be pretty high on the priority list because it's our presence. It's how the only way people before they meet us, it's the only way that they are judging us whether there's someone they consider buying from or not. So it's really, really important.
And when you do revamp it, do relaunch it, get everyone to jump on and have a look at it so they can be educated about all the things that you do. Look, engage patients while they are on hold. So have those hold recordings. Did you know at this practice we've introduced a new payment plan? Did you know at this new practice we've got a fantastic new oral health therapist? This is what an oral health therapist is. So engage patients while they're on hold. Keep in mind there are new patients on hold. And so what do you want them to hear to be able to convert them into the appointment book?
There's nothing more wasted than having them just on hold with nothing or some daggy radio music. You know, it's an opportunity to tell them about all the wonderful things that happen in your practice or the services you can provide and engage them further.
Yeah. And people are out there doing it professionally. So you don't think you have to do the recording yourself. Go out and get a professional to do it. Rather than discounting, promote giveaways. So discounting has its place, and many practices don't discount at all, and we're in full support of that as well. But promote giveaways, and maybe the giveaway is a hamper of dental goodies. Maybe the promotion is supporting a brand new restaurant that's just opened their doors up. Do what you can to help others be successful in your environment, in your area, in your community, and it will come back tenfold and be one of those businesses that really has the back of other businesses in the area as well. Finesse the patient handover to reception. So this is one of those areas too. This is part of the patient experience. How are we going to do things here? How are we going to make patients feel? Because if they're coming through being properly educating, opting for effective solutions for their own mouth, they're out there saying, my mouth is feeling better, looking better, functioning better because I went to that practice. And so making sure it's more than just a, oh, yes, just go out and see Sally at the front desk, just book in for an hour anytime, that'd be super. No, we're wanting to build urgency, importance, and value in that next appointment time. Home visits, this is another way of building a practice, which doesn't normally come across minds, does it, Amina?
No, not at all. Not something I really think about, to be honest.
Yeah, so we used to do home visits at the practice that I had. And again, it's one of those spaces, the number of services that you can offer are relatively limited, but there are a lot of people out there that need this kind of work. And the home visits on Veteran Affairs, you can actually charge for them, but you can also charge if they're not on Veteran Affairs for particular home visits. And when you go to one nursing home, you can get a whole bunch of people done at the one time. And it can be very effective practice builder as well. Introduce sleep dentistry. This is one of the services that I think could be a real practice builder. How many people out there are nervous? And what do you mean? I can be a bit sedated when I get my treatment done. Well, that, of course, I'm going to go there.
Yeah. Underutilized.
It is underutilized, isn't it? Yeah. Add additional services. And so if you don't do ortho, then introduce an ortho arm. If, with clear aligners. If you don't have EMS, and you're just doing the regular cleanings, you can start getting the EMS system on, shouting from the rooftops how gentle the cleanings are at your practice. Introduce video goggles. These are great. And I'm a big supporter of these because we used them the whole 10 years that I had my practice. Little children are so compliant when they're lying back, watching something on television in their goggles. All of a sudden they just lie back, their mouths hang open, and you can get so much work done. There's no wriggling about. And video goggles are also a lovely distraction for adult patients as well. They were wildly popular. So introduce them, do a song and dance about it, getting these patients, I want that kind of experience. I'm going to go there instead. A traditional mailbox drop, whether it be a newsletter or information sheets about the systemic oral link, whatever that mailbox drop is, do it on a semi-regular basis. And so maybe 3 or 4 times a year, every year, and you will start to get a following coming through to you. Engage a marketing expert. Bring the experts in. Don't do the guesswork yourself, yeah? Networking events. And some networking events really do try to support each other, the members themselves. And so you're going along, what do? I've got a dental practice. This is the kind of services that we offer. And then those people at that networking event will want to come and support you. So they become patients themselves. They understand the importance of referral. They're talking about you more than the average person would as well. Networking events can be very impactful as well.
Yeah, and I also think networking with the other businesses in your local area, get them over for wine and cheese nights at your practice so you can meet and greet everybody and keep in contact, because we can hear about people and know that business is over there, but when we engage with the people, human contact, they're stuck in our brain then, aren't they?
That's it. You're absolutely right. The next two have popped up here. Local paper advertising. Again, that needs to be regular. They say every issue or every second issue, year upon year upon year. So if you've got that, you can commit to that, then local paper advertising can certainly help. And finesse your patient engagement process. And so we're talking about patient engagement earlier, but let's start again, brainstorm with the team, role play some things out. So every one of your practitioners is engaging the patient in the same way. Every one of your receptionists is providing that same level of service as well. Really finesse it and stop thinking to yourself, what could we achieve in terms of providing fantastic customer service? Let's go over the top and go, how can we make it the best possible experience ever, and just raise that bar up. Attend or join a networking group. That's twice. That must be twice as important, Amina. So now there's 51 marketing ideas. Start a dental education podcast.
That's a good idea.
I never really thought about this, but I've recently come across one that is doing a podcast aimed at the patients themselves. Now, you think about this. You can put it in the local community Facebook thing. The next episode's up, just talking about the different services that are available, not just at your practice, but anywhere. It's an education. How to maintain your oral health, how to brush your children's teeth, all the things, your diet, all those sort of things. But you can promote that podcast everywhere, and podcasts are there all the time. And so people are out there constantly jumping on board with them. You can interview different team members. You could interview different dentists or specialists on that podcast as well. It could be fantastic.
Especially, you get mums who listen to all these things. They're on Facebook. They ring the practice and they go, what age should I start bringing my child to the dentist? All those sort of topics that are general inquiries.
Yeah. And that's what, just look at that local community Facebook page and look back and just put in the search of that group, dental or dentist, and look at those questions that they've asked, and those are potential episodes coming up. You're absolutely right. Sponsor local events. Get your branding around the local football field, in the basketball stadium. So some places have family days. So sponsor these sort of local events and sporting events too. I think that we've got that one as a separate one later on. So sponsor all the local events. Joint health promotional activities with local health services. And so team up with a physio, talk about tooth grinding and splints. Team up with a local GP, talk about the systemic oral health link. A local specialist, so let's talk about ortho. Come here for your general, but we're doing it with, we're talking about ortho, so this is the orthodontist talking about things as well, so educating patients.
I think overall there's always this big idea about trying to attract new patients into the practice, and what fails a lot of the time, or doesn't get managed as well as what it could be, is just nurturing that patient base that you already have within your practice. A lot of missed opportunity there, I feel.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And these are, advertisers 52, but really in essence 51 marketing ideas for your practice. But hopefully it's really triggered some imagination, and you can get your whole team together, as we said in one of those points, get your whole team together, bring more brains to the party, and get everyone to do a bit of research themselves, jump online, look at what other dental practices are doing, so we can actually come together and come up with some really fantastic ideas. But we need to always be marketing our practices, don't we, Amina?
Absolutely. We've got to keep at it. There will be people that drop off either by death or moving away or all sorts of things. It's always going to happen. It's normal. But
yeah, and we need we need to attract back great patients, but we need to keep great patients as well. And that's the double approach here. So if you've got any ideas yourself, please let us know, and we're going to throw it into the mastermind and mentoring group as a discussion point, and also into our resources page as well. And hopefully we've given you some great inspiration on marketing your practice so you can become more and more successful all the time.
Excellent. Thank you, Julie. Hope you enjoyed the session.
Look forward to seeing you next month. Bye bye.